Welcome, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into something that, well, it touches all our daily lives, doesn't it? The internet, AI, and where it all might be going. We've got a fascinating stack of sources today. Some paint a, let's say, complex picture, maybe even a worrying one at times. There's this one report, Worldwide Worries, and it kicks off with this really striking image. A tombstone, a tombstone for the World Wide Web, dated 1989 to 2025. Bit dramatic, maybe, but it definitely gets your attention. And we'll also look at how AI is reshaping, well, global power and some surprising things like the resources involved.
Exactly. And our goal today really is to unpack all of this for you, to connect the dots so you can understand not just what's happening, but maybe why it matters for finding info, for how countries compete, even for, the actual ground under our feet. It's fascinating how things you wouldn't normally link, like search algorithms and copper mining, are actually deeply connected here.
Okay, let's start with that tombstone then. 1989-2025. Is the web as we know it really dying or just changing dramatically? The sources seem to point towards a huge shift, mainly because of AI.
That's the core question, isn't it? How are these AI chat tools, these answer engines, changing how people look for information? You see, tools like ChatGPT, especially the newer models that give you a general overview, they often give you the answer directly, so users might not click through to the original websites anymore. The report calls it choking off traffic to the content producers.
Right, choking off traffic. And that's not just a metaphor, is it? There are real numbers, alarming ones. Our sources mentioned some content sites losing, 31%, 13%, even over 60% of their visitors. I mean, imagine that. Think about the impact on companies. Big media like Meredith or platforms like Stack Overflow that programmers rely on. What does that do to them?
Precisely. The whole economic model, the bargain, is shifting. If you relied on ads driven by website visits, well, that income stream is drying up for many. And it raises that big fairness question too, doesn't it? Is it, fair for AI models to train on all this web content without directly paying for it? We are seeing some moves now, though. Big deals, like News Corp and the Wall Street Journal licensing content to OpenAI. Perplexity is buying rights, too.
So it's moving towards a kind of pay-to-play system, maybe?
Yeah.
But what does that mean for us just trying to find reliable information? If search is changing, what's next?
Well, it's definitely a major reorientation. Google mentioned, I think, a 15% drop in search traffic for some categories hit by AI. But look at the bigger trend graph in the sources, the one called Giving Up the Search. It sets a baseline of 100 back in June 2024. Now, all categories of search traffic, down to an index of 80. That's a 20% drop overall. Pretty significant.
Wow, 20%.
Yeah. But what's really interesting is the relative change within that. News and media actually show an index of 110.
So they're getting a bigger slice of a smaller pie.
Seems like it. While reference materials are holding steady at 100 and things like shopping and education are down at 90, it suggests people are maybe shifting how they consume information online. Are we moving towards more direct sources, podcasts, newsletters, maybe specialized forums? The sources even float that idea, saying something like, the death of the web has been endured before, hands off the podcasts, then apps. A bit provocative.
It really is. Okay, so we've seen the impact on our screens, on how we get info, but you mentioned this connects to global power. The sources talk about AI sovereignty. What exactly is that?
Right, let's zoom out. AI sovereignty. It's basically nations wanting to build and control their own AI capabilities, their own infrastructure.
Yeah.
Think of them as castles in the cloud, as one source put it. The idea is to not be dependent on other countries for this critical tech. It touches everything: data security, privacy, even national defense.
So it's a strategic thing for governments.
Absolutely. Look at the UAE pouring money into AI hubs. Companies like G42, Core42, France talk about a gigafactory.
Yeah.
Germany's Deutsche Telekom is involved. And Saudi Arabia has huge ambitions too. Their Ambition 500,000 plan, big deals with NVIDIA for chips. It's a global race.
So it's not just about having the smartest AI. It's about controlling the whole technology stack, the data, the platforms, the hardware underneath it all.
Exactly. And that brings us to the chips. The advanced semiconductors, they're the absolute foundation for serious AI. Now, what's interesting geopolitically is that the U.S. and its allies, especially Taiwan and South Korea, have a big lead in making the most advanced chips right now.
But China's pushing hard to catch up.
Very hard. Achieving self-sufficiency in chips is a massive national priority for them. It's part of their Made in China 2025 strategy. And it's not just economic. There are definite military AI applications driving this, too.
Okay, so chips are key. But these castles in the cloud, this AI infrastructure, it needs more than just silicon, right?
Okay.
The sources mentioned, surprisingly, copper. Why copper?
Yeah, that's the red flag they raised.
Yeah.
Commerce, sometimes called the new oil, which sounds dramatic, but it's experiencing intense volatility and speculation. Why? Because you need tons of it for AI data centers, the wiring, the power systems. But it's also critical for green energy tech, right? EVs, chargers, the grid, and yes, military uses too. So demand is just soaring from multiple directions.
Wow. So the demand for AI and the demand for clean energy are kind of converging on the same resource.
Exactly. And that makes it not just an economic issue about supply and demand, but a serious geopolitical one.
Geopolitical how? Like countries trying to lock down supplies.
Precisely. It raises that fundamental question. Who controls the resources? China, for instance, needs a lot of copper, imports most of it, so they're making very strategic moves to secure supply chains, particularly looking at places like the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. And governments everywhere, including the U.S., are stepping in more actively. They're realizing these critical mineral supply chains are vital for national security, for economic stability. It's becoming a major focus.
Okay, so we've gone from AI changing our search habits to nations building digital fortresses, all the way down to the copper mines supplying the wire. Let's bring it back. What does all this mean for you listening right now?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is just how fast your information world is changing. That shift away from clicking links on a search page to getting AI summaries, it's fundamental. It really pushes you, I think, to be more critical, to ask, where is this answer coming from? What perspective am I not seeing? And it also just shows how interconnected everything is. Tech trends aren't just about gadgets. They link directly to economics, global politics, even things being dug out of the ground. Understanding those connections, that's pretty crucial if you want us to be informed, especially with, all the information overload out there.
So we've covered a lot of ground. This changing digital world, AI's huge impact on information, the race for AI dominance between nations, right down to the copper needed to power it all.
Yeah, from that stark tombstone image for the web, 1989-2025, all the way to the strategic jostling over mineral resources. It really paints a picture of these powerful, interconnected forces shaping what's next.
It absolutely does. It hammers home that the future of information, our future, isn't just about screens and software. It's deeply tied to global power, resources, the physical world.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. As AI keeps reshaping things, how will you change how you find information? What new places, what new ecosystems of knowledge will you need to explore to stay, well, truly informed and critically engaged?